1 second.
Okay.
Okay, it's time to settle. Okay, Alden.
You good?
I'd like to call to order this June 28th meeting of the Durham Planning Board. I see that we have quorum. And first we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Does anyone have any amendments to the agenda?
Now we have to do the public hearing.
Oh, so I can't keep going?
No, you have to call the public hearing to order now.
Okay. How do I do that?
I mean, can't we just do the minutes and then the public hearing on the
When we open
subdivision?
up- Right, when we open up Barry's case.
Right.
Well, I guess if that's the way you want to do it, that's fine.
Do you move the minutes to the end?
Whatever you want to do.
No, 'cause you need the minutes for Barry's.
Well, then should we do that first?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, we'll take a minute to review the minutes from the last meeting. Looks like on page 1, Jill, the list of the things that were deemed incomplete should also include number 51.
Okay.
So I'm gonna move approval of the minutes.
Adding that 51.
Yeah, with the amendment that Mindy indicated.
We'll second that.
All those in favor?
And I'll amend the minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now I will call to order the public hearing on the application for Mineral Spring Estates.
You can just ask if there's any public comment. Given that there's no public, I doubt there will be.
Is there any public comment?
I'd like to comment on your application.
And
There's no public comment.
maybe just see if Mr. Baldwin wants to say anything before we start considering it.
Do you have anything you would like to say as part of this public hearing?
I'm taking the fifth.
Smart man. Okay.
All right, so then we can move forward with this application, going through the approval criteria.
You're gonna have to close the public hearing.
I will close the public hearing now. Do I have to do this? There. It's closed. All right, now we can move forward with considering this application and going through the approval criteria. And it appears that we have some new materials that were distributed. Did everyone get a chance to look at those?
Maybe the applicant and first engineer can walk us through what he's added. Expedite it for us.
I'm gonna sit back here this time.
Let Jason have the hot seat.
I feel like I'm at the kids' table at Thanksgiving.
I know, right?
Good evening, members of the board. You'll recall from our last meeting, we had a number of items left over that there were just sort of some clerical issues, and mostly me getting all my ducks in a row and into you. I believe that we have tidied up all of those issues. If you go, the memo dated June 24th to you, if you want to go down through, it's basically just a quick little narrative in the checklist items. So checklist item number 33, the wildlife habitat. You'll find a letter in attachment A that is a response from the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, which they conducted their review and found no known wild, threatened, endangered, or other significant areas in the habitat.
Can I ask a question on that? Sure. What map did you provide them with?
Oh, sure. So they get the USGS parcel map.
Yep.
What we do is we digitize the property line on that,
Okay.
and then send them it's called the locus.
Yeah.
And the USGS map is there so that they can actually, that's typically how we always send in those locus maps.
So they saw like the area of Durham.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just interesting that they say that project details are lacking due to general nature and scale of the map that was provided. Our comments are non-specific. So I just.
Yeah, because.
Why, if you provided them a locus map, I mean, that's pretty specific.
Yeah, and I almost think that's
Common.
That's a generic thing that it always says that, because, right, that covers everyone. Because we don't send them, even sending them a tax map doesn't do them a whole lot of good, because it's not, so they get the locus with it, and it could be because we put on the locus, it's a property line digitized from, you know what I'm saying? So we don't actually say this is not a boundary survey, and that might also be the reason why they put that disclaimer in case you ever had something on the property that was drawn incorrectly on their map, and that's, I mean, to be honest with you, I just always skipped right over that line because I always see it in my, that's how I do all my letters to them, and
Yeah.
that's how it always comes back.
Okay.
They have a GIS database, so you can actually go, so that's all they check. So you can actually go on to the Maine.gov, they have a GIS database, and you can look, if you know where the area is, and you can look, and we basically pay them $150 to do that for us, and then they send us a letter. And sort of wash, rinse, repeat for checklist item number 34 for the natural areas program. And they basically get the exact same letter, just addressed to a different person. And with that comes the locus as well. And you'll see their response. And they actually, what they typically always do is, they say, nothing is known on your project site, but then they give you a whole list of things to look for. And I don't know that any project I've ever done that we've ever found anything, or typically the applicant probably doesn't even know what they're looking
They
for.
look like the deer ticks.
Oh.
Crawling on my head.
Fast-moving mother.
Yeah, they move.
So that is in there as attachment B as well. item number 48, we talked about this last time. Because it is in the Runaround Pond watershed, we do need a stormwater management permit per Chapter 500 for the Maine DEP. And that application is in process with them. And what you have is the abbreviated stormwater management report that they get, along with some pretty complicated phosphorus calculations. And that is attachment C.
This is what you provided to them.
Yep. So, right, so part of that process is you have a pre-application process, and that's what we're in now. And as soon as that process is over, we actually file the permit. I think they take 30 days to review it and then send it back to you. So when we file the full permit after the pre-application process, a copy is dropped off here at the town because it's notified that the public can stop in and look at it. And then when the town issues the permit, I believe they issue it by email, and then we'll send a copy to whoever comes in. And checklist items 50 and 51 are the same as 33 and 34. And for checklist item number 52, this project falls well under any sort of state permit requirements or traffic engineering requirements. The ITE manual has single-family homes as 10 daily total trips and 1 daily AM and peak hour trip per the latest ITE manual. So if you consider the whole project, and I actually looked at it from the roadway, that sort of starting from the original parcel, so that eventually, if all goes well for Barry, there'll be 8 single-family homes using the road that we drove on and went back. So, the maximum average daily traffic would be 80 trips through there. And then it would be 8, oops, I have that number wrong, it should be 8 AM and peak hour trips, which is 92 below the threshold for having the state look at traffic impacts. So I'm pretty confident that I could say that there will be negligible impacts to traffic as a result of this project. Checklist item number 53 is the cost estimate that you require. That's an attachment D, and I will point out that, lest another contractor gets a hold of this and laughs at me, that Barry has most of the materials on site. So when you look at that cost estimate, that, say someone coming in who wasn't a roadway contractor, he was just a general developer, this engineer's opinion probable cost would probably be a little bit higher, much higher actually. So the prices I give are based on the fact that if you own the material and the equipment, that's just what it costs your overhead to install them. Yeah, move it.
And all of the materials on site?
I would say the way we balanced it out for the gravels and everything, that he's pretty much there. Yep. He's got all that crushed rock that you saw up there. He'll mix that with some more finer materials. He'll bring a crusher in and then he'll mix it with some finer materials, and that'll actually be his roadway gravel base, which he'll put down. And there are some cuts and fills in there that, he'll rob from a hill in the right of way to fill in a valley to get it so the grades are nicer, and then he puts his gravel on and stuff.
So the methods for the stormwater treatment, sounds like it's basically using the wooded areas, and you're just defining and preserving those from development.
Yes, and
to
those.
allow them to.
And what I would suggest, typically how it's done is, where we don't know where those areas will be exactly, although I'm pretty sure I know where they're gonna be exactly, they're roadside buffers. So actually, it's a nice part of your ordinance that you have a 50-foot setback from the roadway, which 50 feet is actually the width of the DEP's requirement for a forested buffer off a road. So in essence, what happens is on those sections of the road where we're using those buffers, that area will just be a deeded no-cut buffer, and that will be part of everyone's property deeds. There's standard language that DEP gives you to put in the property deeds when you issue them. So yeah, there are no structural methods at all. We're just using ditches in 2 areas, and then when they turn out, we build like a level lip spreader that diffuses the flow, and then there's a deeded forested buffer there that's identified on a plan that we produce, which is part of the approval. And then the ditch, the the non-ditched roadside buffers actually happen during our site walk near the end of that long sort of straight stretch.
Excuse me. So those no-cut buffers aren't shown on our plan though, right?
No, because, so that's two ways to do it. They can be added to, I like to do it both ways. So they're part of it's actually an issued plan that we issue. It's called the buffer plan. But also, we put those on the recording plat as well, so people know. A lot of people sometimes don't get that far and when they're researching a lot, but if they're on the recorded plat plan, which would be your survey plan that you have, typically what we do is we put that as a condition of approval. You don't sign the Mylar until you do Mylars here?
Yeah.
Yep, until you see those things pop on the plan in the proper locations, which would match up with our permit.
Okay, so we'll have to make that a condition.
So that, you actually kind of brought me through number 54 as well, that last checklist item.
And so you've submitted your permit application, so you're in the time clock.
Yep.
Waiting. You haven't been notified that they're writing or anything yet?
No, I don't think that they're that far along. They're actually pretty, I don't know if you found what you're finding, but they're pretty backed up. I have a number of projects in there kind of languishing. I'm praying to God there's not a state shutdown.
Mr. Baldwin should too.
I noticed there's a deer wintering area, 2 deer wintering areas on the map, this must be the map you provided to them for the IFW?
No, that's one that they issue themselves.
They issued it?
Yes.
So where are those in relation to this project?
So that, the center circle with I should have printed this color. Deer wintering, they're actually, so what that is most of that wintering area occurs down in that 100-year floodplain, right? I've always seen it's usually the wet areas that deer typically hang out in for the water access. And I think that there's it's like a bullseye target, and then the ones on the exterior, I think, are just kind of like the setbacks from that. But I should have printed this color because I think what we're seeing is a couple of different colors that aren't
Do
showing.
you have it in color? No?
I don't.
Okay. But again, you sent like something that showed the project
Yes,
parcel.
yep.
Okay.
And this is what they sent back?
Yes. Yep.
And so both of these big areas are both deer wintering areas? Or is it these little circles within the?
I think the deer wintering area is actually this guy.
It's actually funny because they actually sent a letter.
It's
Appears to be a
the,
page missing. Did I? Oh, no, that's right. Yeah, it just got inserted in the wrong spot. Yeah.
I think it's this one right here. So there is deer wintering area in the project.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Well, I don't know, I can't
I
determine.
mean, if you
Yeah, the
extend
problem
that
is it's
road
not
up,
color.
it doesn't look
Yeah,
like
it
it
looks
is.
like-
Right.
It looks
I-
like it would be on the
this-
right-hand side.
the circle, I think the project, okay, this is what it is. So the project search area is the circular bullseye.
Okay, and those 2 little
The deer-
circles in the middle.
Yeah, and that's, and so.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
Right, and so those 2 little circles in the middle,
But Libby Brook is right, isn't that where the floodplain is? Down,
yeah, I don't believe that I think the deer wintering area is the sort of southwest of those bullseyes.
So it says in here that you should contact IF&W, and they give you the guy's name to minimize an impact to that, so have you done that, or are you planning to, or? That's what the letter said.
Yeah.
I mean, the way the site's currently developed, that's not, up on that ridge is not wintering area.
Yeah.
In its current condition.
best understanding, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you received a letter back from, Maine IF&W, which is the one we're looking
Yep.
at. Then you also got one back from,
Yeah, in the natural areas, I'm not seeing it in here. I apologize for that. It comes as a separate letter, so. It almost looks like it didn't print.
Do you have one with you that I can rip off?
No, but you know what? I could probably dig it up on my email. Yeah, no, it drops off the emails. Sorry about that. It was the response was the same, where it goes, the first paragraph, it says, you know, there were none found in the locus area, but, and then they list all the different things that might be there to look out for. I see what I did. So they sent, not that you care. So it comes in 2 attachments, and they're almost named the exact same thing. And I slid the wrong one in attachment B. It should have been the NAP one, and I hit a different one. So
and so those 2
I'll have that dropped.
circles are the
I'll drop
vernal
those off
pools,
tomorrow.
I think, right? Is that what those are? The 2 circles in the search area?
No, that was their search beacon. So they drop based on the locus I give them. They have a program, and then that's their search area. So when they put it in their program to bring up the map, right? So their map would just show this area and this area. And if you went on the GIS, you'd get the same thing. And so what they do is it's almost like dropping a pin in Google. So they drop it there, and then it issues this report out of their GIS server and properties. So what they're saying is, well, when we drop the pin based on what you gave us, this intersection, like if it was a Venn diagram, this area where it
Yeah.
intersects, they said may or may not be
Right.
on your property because they're just looking at it fast.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually not, all of Barry's property is north of the, what's that road? Granite Hill Road.
So getting back to Calvin's question, there are several recommended folks to call from inland
Yep.
fisheries and wildlife. Have you contacted them or anyone contacting them?
But we can certainly do that. So typically, there are no streams within that. So this is, you know, not to sound sort of, what do you call it? Maybe a little unconcerned about the environment. So this is all standard boilerplate stuff they put in the back of every letter. So there are no streams. We're not within 100. So we recommend that a 100-foot undisturbed vegetated buffer be maintained along these streams. So there are no impacts to any buffers within 100 feet of streams as shown on the survey plan. So when it says, like, if you're doing any stream crossings, you know, you have to have the 1.2 bankfull width. We're not doing any of that stuff. So if we did have to file a NERPA PBR for a stream crossing, we would be in touch with those. They typically take a look at that. So if we file that permit, that's who we contact. So the deer wintering area, if we thought that we were going to impact it, you know, that's when we'd reach out and contact them and say, hey, you know, based on our property lines, it looks like, you know, we might be sharing some space. They look at it and see that all of that land was down in the floodplain and that there's no building envelope. And they'd say, oh, you know, typically you're fine. You know, as long as you're not building a house or a road through it, that would sort of impact the herd in any way.
I'm curious on the, sorry, I hate to beat this to a pulp, but they do say the significant vernal pools. They say that 2 were found in the area. So we know where one of them is.
Right.
So they're somewhere on this map, and it's hard to tell where they are. Is it those 2 circles inside of the search area? I know you said it was the pinpoint, but do you see how those circles are? Is that what those are?
That may be, yeah, and it's hard, I apologize, it's hard to do without the color, but that may, those may be the.
Because one of them isn't a
So what I'll
perfect
do is
circle.
I'll bring color copies in tomorrow and leave them here for your review, yeah. Or I could even, if I get an email list, I can email them out.
So I'm curious, because we have one identified on your map, your plan, but we don't have the other
Right.
one on the plan.
And that, I'd have to punt on that question because I'm not qualified to identify vernal pools and,
But there was only one identified by the state, that's how that one.
so,
came to be.
and I will caution you, so the state, and perhaps this is something that Barry and I can do, we can contact the state and find out what the source of those location of those vernal pools were. A lot of times they do that from the sort of, you know, the medium intensity soil maps and general contours, so that I'm almost willing to bet $1,000 that they didn't actually have anyone out there and identify those, that those were generated from soils information and those types of things. We can contact them to say, you know, what is the source of these, and then we could send the stuff that Mark Sensi did, or whatever information you had, a letter to them, and sometimes they'll remove them from their maps to come out. I've had that happen in other
Yeah,
projects.
if they say there is one here, and then you guys did a delineation and showed that there actually is only
Yeah.
one instead of 2.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, because it looks like they're right next to each other. Then one other thing I'll say is that when they talk about significant pools, they say that, sorry, hold on.
It's a 250-foot setback typically.
Once surveys are completed, our department will need to review and verify
Yeah.
any vernal pool data prior to final determination of significance. So the finding of that one, calling it an SVP, I wonder, you know, if that, yeah, like if you did contact them with
Right.
this, that's probably one that they already have, and then.
Right. And we don't even, and typically what you find is they don't line up based on real topo and survey information. You know, they kind of, they're in the area, but they don't know exactly where they are. And so that's something that certainly I don't mind following up on. And of course, I'm surprised no one's even talking about the bats. That's usually the biggest problem.
That was an interesting one.
Oh, they're tailgating.
That's what it sounded like.
Bats are good, they eat mosquitoes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the bat regulations are kind of iffy right now. Like in Maine, we don't have Indiana bat, which is the one that is, you can't do
Well, it's-
anything really with trees with Indiana bat. But northern long-eared, which we do have, as long as there isn't a documented like hibernacula in the area,
Yep.
then you're pretty much okay.
Except that with, so if you're doing an Army Corps of Engineers permit, you actually have to, they have 30 days to respond. But if they do respond, you have to do a bat study or clear within the approved building limits. Yeah. Did you have to go through that in Freeport? You guys are doing it? Yeah, we deal with that all the time.
So when like a federal permit is
Yep.
triggered, yep.
Any other questions? On this new info?
I think so. And actually, if it helps, I can superimpose my map onto the map they sent, because I have no, they're using the same base map, and we can actually see where that, I can do up a little plan in CAD that uses both images, and we can actually see where those lines fall.
Is that something that we could just email around to the board? Is that, or is that not the right way to do it?
You have to consider it an open session.
Okay.
We can certainly get it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to consider it an open session.
Yeah, 'cause just seeing that map in color would be helpful. But.
Yeah, and I'll drop them off tomorrow. You can just drop them in the mail if you want them from there, so.
Or email's fine.
Do we have to do that? Or just the ones that were incomplete?
No, we deemed it complete.
Oh, so,
Right. We waived them, but they submitted
But we
them.
wanted them,
Correct.
oh,
so
okay.
we waived them to, but we,
So we can move ahead with the public hearing.
yes.
Yeah,
And
okay.
if you didn't provide them now, then we would have probably put a condition on them or something, made them pay. But you provided them.
Beat me over the head. Well, provided them minus the one I didn't put in the packet, which is annoying, but.
So, do you guys want to consider the application and get as far as we can?
Mhm.
Do you want to table this? What do you want to do?
Former,
Okay,
right?
I'm good with that. We're
Mhm.
here.
I think we should grind away on it.
So, John, can I just ask, did you include these standards?
I did not bring in the subdivision standards
The
from
state.
the state.
Okay. There's a lot, it looks like there's a lot of overlap, but.
There's very much overlap. So I'll tell you, one of the things I struggled with when I made it, because we have
I just
our
found one too.
approval criteria,
Uh-oh.
and then we have our standards,
For the.
performance standards for them, but they don't necessarily all jive.
Of course
And
they
then
don't.
we have the state, which we're not completely in line with. So our book says approval criteria. What I did do was I flipped through the approval criteria, and one of the big gaps I see in our approval criteria that are in our performance standard are road geometry requirements. It's in the performance, but not necessarily in the approval criteria, and the requirements around a road maintenance agreement, which the applicant has submitted. So I drafted up some things that I thought should be added as conditions as we go through. And certainly I am not an expert at this, but I'll pass these around. It was just my thoughts of trying to capture some of the things that are in our performance standard that I think were gaps in our approval
So this
criteria.
document here is just kind of what's on
The
the
approval
subdivision listed
criteria.
out as approval criteria.
Exactly. So many of them are absolute repeats when you go through the approval criteria, but there are a couple that are not, which is awesome.
And then we have all the state.
Then we have the state.
You have an extra? Did you get one, Jason?
Was it, you're gonna say you should be some
Good catch.
extras?
Okay.
So who wants to be the recorder?
I've already scribbled on mine.
Can't possibly do it.
Jill, put this with your packet. I made it, Jill finished it.
I appreciate that, knowing.
Was
So
that this year?
these are what you pulled out of the performance standard.
Those are some things covered in the performance standard that I didn't feel were thoroughly covered by our approval criteria list.
Except for that wonderful catch-all that it conforms in all other
Right.
respects with our ordinance.
I know, but I wanted to
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
for clarification, and we don't have to carry them if we decide we don't.
Sure.
That's- We can make a motion on each of these when it comes the appropriate time. I was just trying to think ahead with some of
Thank you.
the things that I felt were fuzzy.
And the performance standards don't really line up with the approval criteria, right?
It's not.
Why would they? Just kidding.
So does that mean we're gonna be going through these two lists kind of separately, or do we wanna try? and-
Honestly, have to look at 3. Well, you've got your approval criteria, but then when you're making a decision on it, you really gotta look at the performance standard and also cross-check the state statute that we are given.
So we can't deem an approval criteria complete, et cetera, until we cross-reference with the performance standards and the state statute, or?
Seems that way, or you can use the catch-all as Ann said.
This is the state statute.
Yeah. We haven't done a subdivision in a very long time in this town. I don't think anyone on the board was maybe involved with the last one.
Right, we rewrite this ordinance.
We tried.
We ran out of steam and the consultant disappeared and our code enforcement officers disappeared and so we want to start with pollution.
Sure, I can record.
So on pollution, it's looking to see, there's pretty much a repeat of it being above elevation, the nature of the soils and subsoils are adequate to support waste disposal. So the applicant, we know the elevation's out of the floodplain. We demonstrated that in the map, right?
Correct.
We have test pits in the soils report showing that ability to support waste disposal. And some of these are silly, like availability of streams for disposal of effluents. I don't know that you really want to be doing it
I think you
that
want to be
way.
carrying it away.
But that is in the performance standard.
I don't know where that came from, I saw that. Interesting.
Just had a little mine here.
Just make sure I won't put my hands on that soils report. This one from Mr. Robbins, right? With the outhouse on it, appropriate. State statute says, again, repeats above the sea level and out of the soil, out of floodplains, sewage disposal, slope of the land. Actually, that's
I
where
think
the
this is
street.
identical.
Yeah,
So why don't I, as we go through, why don't I keep track of what we do and don't cover in the state statute?
Sounds good.
That makes sense. So number 1 is.
so, everyone, had a chance to look at the materials. I think I move that we find that this subdivision will not result in undue water and air pollution, making, the applicant has submitted documentation for a soil study for disposal of septics, and the property is above the floodplain as demonstrated in the design of the subdivision.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
All right, water supply. had a map of water, right?
Do we have that? Did we get groundwater?
Yeah, I got a.
Right there from,
Report from the state.
yep.
And we had a letter from Chief St. Michelle, right?
There. Here's that your compliance is Mr. Michelle's.
Oh. This- What's the groundwater depth in that area, in this area? I don't-
Well, that probably depends on where you're sitting. I don't think, we don't have a soil study that is, I don't see in a soil study where there was any study of the depth of water at the site.
Well,
The
one place you
geotech.
might find it is in the septic test pits.
Yeah, I was trying to
pits.
look through
They
those.
typically will find, they'll give you a seasonal high groundwater table. It'll say SHWT, sometimes with a line in some of the pit reports. Or at the bottom, they'll say limiting factor,
Yeah.
and it will be groundwater.
Or ledge.
Right, or the other. If you're lucky, you get depth of pit.
Yeah.
16 well, is at lot 3,
Yeah, lot 3.
it was 16 inches down. Everything else was hitting restrictive layer. So it's surface water though, it's not necessarily a drilled aquifer well like what we have for a report from the state.
I think the performance criteria for water supply is at G4. I have to find that it'll meet maximum anticipated demand of all persons residing or using the supply. And it won't impact any wells within 1,500 feet.
So what page you on?
82.
82. And that it'll meet NFPA 1142 water supply for fire protection.
This one's a hard one to answer, you know?
Well, drilling a well is sometimes a bit of a random event, for sure.
One thing this also says, well flow test results must be presented to the code officer prior to the issuance of the first building permit.
Not occupancy permit?
Yeah, no,
Usually you
building.
don't drill a well before you,
I know, right? Yeah.
but I suppose if you want to make sure it's gonna have water before you issue the building permit, but.
Yeah, but if you're a homeowner, you're gonna pay to drill a well, you don't have a building permit?
No.
Not really,
I'm not making that investment.
unless you're gonna put one in the middle of the subdivision and use it as your test guinea pig.
I mean, if I may, I know you're trying to be very thorough, but I have been on the planning board, I have been and seen these subdivisions, and all that's ever been required, to my knowledge, was that letter that we get from the state, because it just shows the wells and depths in the area.
Mhm.
I've never seen anything but that.
So unless there's further discussion, I'm gonna move to find that this is complete based on the well depths in the area and the letter from the fire chief stating that there is sufficient water supply for fire protection needs And also it's a relatively small subdivision with only a maximum of 8 homes going in.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
So, number 3 really piggybacks upon the same conversation about water supply. And I would say with the 5 lots, right, so the final count, how many lots? 7 lots.
8 lots.
I will also say that this is basically a repeat of the state requirement, and it seems to go to municipal water supply,
Mhm.
which we don't
Totally.
have.
I know.
So
But somebody inserted language, aquifer, in our criteria. Like, we're gonna look for aquifer discharge. So I will move that the applicant meets the requirements for water supply, okay, so let me start this again. The proposed subdivision will not cause an unreasonable burden on the existing water supply, including the aquifer, because there are only 8 proposed building lots.
I will second that.
All those in favor? Do you want to continue with reading them, John?
Did you miss the? Oh no, there's. Never mind.
Yeah, no, they
Disregard.
skipped. All right, so in the performance standard, before we get us into the approval criteria, there are 4 letters. So the first one is preserving landscape in a natural state. As practical as by minimizing tree removal, disturbance of soil, retaining existing vegetation. So I think, you know, we're seeing that in the site plan. Filling and excavating and earth moving activity carried out in a way that keeps erosion and sedimentation to a minimum, including preserving natural vegetation, again, minimizing duration of the soils, temporary vegetation, debris basins, sediment basins, stormwater. Topsoil should not be removed from the site except for surplus topsoil from areas occupied by buildings and paving. And adequate provisions for surface drainage and removal of stormwaters will not have an unreasonable effect on neighboring properties.
We have an erosion control.
Plan, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the staging areas are on there, I'm sure. Do we have like stockpile locations?
Typically, we don't show those. They, probably what Barry will do is put them on, I don't know, Barry, what are you gonna do, like, clear out building? I mean, he's kind of got a staging area already kind of set up in there.
Well, we
with-
follow the EMPs, and whatever they suggest we do, like if you have a moon pile that's gonna set for more than 48 hours, you need to have erosion control around it. And basically, when I cut it in and bring the loom to one pile, it will have erosion control around it. And all these things are covered by the best management practice rules. And there are different rules that apply to whatever situation you're dealing with. Cover that, Jason? I mean, is that-
Yeah, so there's a set of details and those are like the catch-all. Once you disturb the ground, this is what you have to have done to sort of do it. So I guess your question, so this, where he's kind of got everything there, he'll have to encapsulate that whole area, where as soon as he starts disturbing, the roadway base and starts doing that stuff, he'll have to have all his erosion controls in, button it up.
Is there, so when we go through this, can we have conditions like we do? Okay. I'm wondering if, just a thought for number, where was I just reading this? So no storage of fill materials within 50 feet of banks of any water body, so, you know, maybe just showing like the staging area locations, like where the piles of fill will go.
Sure.
Or maybe just saying that they won't go on lot 3 or something like that. You know, I know they're not gonna go anywhere near the western
Right.
large wetland. That wouldn't make any sense, but maybe just showing on the plan where, you know.
And again, excuse me,
Yeah.
again, these things are all controlled by the rules I have to live by to do this.
Mhm.
All my erosion control procedures cover what you're talking about.
Mhm.
I can't do that anyway, because it states that in the rules of the best management practice.
Right,
These things are already covered
right.
in the plans that we provided, all these rules and regs that I have to.
Is that one in there? Is
Everything
that,
is, oh yeah, you can't.
that detail's in there? Yeah, I didn't, in the
Oh, they didn't come up
erosion.
with detail, like stockpiles, if they're,
Yeah,
they're
so-
gonna be sit over the winter, they're gonna have hay on them.
Yeah, so that's actually, that's in the narrative, right? So it'll say winter construction and stabilization, is that, you know, you have to have hay on top of all stockpiles and all that stuff, or in some cases, like gravel piles, if you're gonna be there all winter, you gotta loam and seed them in certain areas. That's all part of the, so on the drawing C300, there's a whole list of notes, and those are the exact notes that the Maine Department of Environmental Protection have as their standards. So when that permit gets reviewed, they check those and make sure that they match theirs, which is the state law that governs erosion and sedimentation control. I think that 50-foot thing might be part of, I don't know where you're getting that, is that part of the town of
Part
Durham?
of the town's ordinance.
Yeah, so, the town has that other thing, so Barry has to live by those rules as well. That's almost like an enforcement issue, you know. Whoever's out there doing roadway inspection or something, say, you can't be piling all your excess loam in the wet, you know, in
Yeah.
that wet, I think you're talking about the wetland finger that kind of comes in, that, you know.
Yes,
My guess is that Barry's gonna keep that down where he's already got it all disturbed anyway, because
Yeah.
he's got area for it.
So, I mean, there's a catch-all about inspection in here as well, by a competence person, conducting the inspection, identified in the inspection log. I mean, all of those things have to be inspected by, in the process. My guess is the DEP might even put in an inspection provision as well in the permit. Often they add a
Yeah,
little.
typically, they have the design engineer
Right.
provide certification.
So, one of the conditions that I was thinking about adding, from the town perspective, and I was thinking more, came up with the technical capability, would be, to also make it a requirement that the applicant retain a professional engineer with knowledge and expertise to show compliance with erosion control, the construction standard, and stormwater requirements in our ordinance and consistent with the Maine DEP permit. Just because we don't, you know, we're not a town that's got a town engineer who's out there doing a lot of
Yeah.
those things. Calvin's covering right now, we're
3 towns.
yeah, right, exactly. And, so we just don't have a lot of in-house backup to keep an eye on those things, so since his license would be at risk, I'm assuming that he'll do a good job to steer his applicant to make good you know. So that was one thought
Yeah.
I had as a
so,
condition.
so the item that I brought up could kind of be part of that, we don't have to add it, but it would be almost assumed that, you know, that person would check, and that's one of the things they would check, like,
Going through our ordinance.
going through our ordinance, yeah.
The question is, what period, how?
Yeah, how much do they
What frequency,
inspect?
yeah,
Yeah, it
what
says
intervals do you want it done?
during construction of the
Right.
roadway
Do you want them out there once a week? or-
and stormwater system, which to me, yeah, the roadway and stormwater system, so however long we have proposed for that take?
It's even covered in here.
I just know in some site plans I've seen, other states though, but we have storage areas are temporary, staging areas are shown on plans.
We do,
That's where.
we do that for site construction a lot, where it's a tight site,
Yeah,
for typical subdivisions that I do, a lot of times, they'll clear a building envelope and keep that stuff on, just to move it out of the way, we'll have them stack the loam pile on a building envelope, like the first lot they're gonna build, and that way, it's already cleared. Again, that's just that's a Barry question, but
but I'm fine with what John was saying too.
That's out of our performance criteria, that language, John?
No, this is.
Well, there is some language about having a professional engineer in our performance standard in the technical capacity, technical and capable, was it technical and financial capacity? So I stole the language about a professional engineer and tweaked it a little bit to fit the case. But there is language in our performance standard under technical capacity.
How long are we slated for the road construction? Do you know off the top of your head, how long will it take to construct the road?
Before winter. That's
So a
my
couple
plan.
months,
6 months.
6 months
Well, it's getting last 5, yeah.
to construct the road, 5 months?
Right, it won't take that long,
No,
not the way we have it planned.
okay.
And you're right, the assumption that I'm planning to move all my box cut material to that site that's already cleared, where you saw where my erosion control mix is being prepared. That's already been a loam pile for years, so that's the obvious spot for me to put it.
Sometimes you show those on the plan where your stockpiles are gonna be, your stump burial sites, and so I don't know if that's what you're looking for,
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting
stockpile
at,
locations.
but if we want it, we can do it that way, show it on the plan, or we can just include it, if we go with this number 4, just, include a check on that, that's fine.
So,
I just hate to show that stuff on a plan for a subdivision road, because Barry may go over and say, oh, this is a nice spot here, and he goes to bury his stumps or whatever, and it's like, oh my God, that's ledge 2 feet down there. And he's like, oh, and then he goes and scrubs another, finds another place to kind of scrub it out, so.
Yeah, I can see that, but I can also see that is the case with any project. I mean,
Or if I decide on one spot and somebody is hell-bent, they want that site and they don't want my material on their house site, then that's an issue, I'll have to move it. I don't want to change the subdivision plan
right,
to move a stockpile.
right. So, yeah,
I mean, I'm happy to do whatever you want, I'm just, in 16 years, I've never shown that on a subdivision application, but certainly they do keep stockpiles, they just kind of figure out as they're going along, and it is more sort of the enforcement thing. When we do DEP third-party inspections for larger projects, we do we note where the stockpiles are and if they're being moved at all, or if they're contained and they have all that stuff. So as a third-party inspection, we take pictures and that all gets logged in. Again, that's a more formal and expensive process, usually for when you're building like a 30-lot subdivision or a Walmart or something, so. But I mean, we can just put a note in the plan that says stockpiles to be maintained in existing open areas.
or just away from, 50 feet away from water body, or whatever.
Or
everyone else wants.
20% slopes or anything like that.
Yeah.
So if I go out there and I see that there's an obvious violation, there would be a stop work order, and there'd be some, if there's no erosion control, no silt fence, and stuff is blowing over the silt fence, or that would be something that I would usually take care of in inspections, so.
So,
And other thing I'd suggest, if you are going to require, sort of what would be more like a third party or inspections, you might want to have, I don't know if it's in your ordinance that, we generate a quick site report for any site visit we do, and, you know, does that go to Calvin, is that, you know, who does that?
Well, it says in your plan that you're keeping a log at the site, so Calvin could show up and ask for the log.
Yep.
Not you, but
Right
Mr.
there,
Baldwin.
yeah.
So I would expect the log would probably say,
Okay, so just keep.
visit by, I mean, I'm trying to keep it simple.
Yeah.
So, we ready for?
Yeah.
All right, so I make a motion that the proposed subdivision will not cause unreasonable soil erosion or reduction in the capacity of the land to hold water, so it's dangerous, unhealthy conditions. The project is preserving landscape. The project has an appropriate stormwater design being permitted by Maine DEP. The project has, applicant has submitted an erosion control plan and has a licensed professional engineer providing services related to design of these measures.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Ann, did you second that, or did you?
I did.
So I guess one question I would have is, in that 50-foot buffer, if you're gonna use that for your stormwater, the buffer, is that what you're using, the 50-foot buffer?
So where, he wouldn't take down, he wouldn't be stockpiling anything in the
Okay,
buffer
I
areas.
just wanna make sure
Those
that-
have to stay.
Because
Mm.
if that's stripped,
Undisturbed.
if that gets stripped during construction,
Yeah,
you're
no,
hard
that's
pressed
a,
to use that as your
that's a
buffer.
big no-no, yeah.
So can you put something on there that would show that?
Yeah, so we flag the buffers. That's a requirement of the DEP that prior to disturbance, you actually flag, and I can easily go out there, we have survey equipment, I mean, we typically tie a flag, and you actually have to pin the buffers. And so they become a no-cut buffer, and then you flag the trees, that's a color that says. do
Just
not touch.
so long as you know, Barry, if you destroy that during the process, it might nullify your stormwater permit.
And we'll coordinate with Barry so we know that that's what he's leaving. And
Can we make this one an easy one?
Which one?
Traffic.
Make it an easy one?
Highway. Do we
I don't
really?
know. It's a pretty busy road. It's really busy.
Pretty busy an hour ago.
Yeah, it was. Most cars I've seen in a
I saw
year.
one person out there, I go, what
The
the?
neighbors still.
I know, the neighbors still like, honey, did you see that? Did you see all
Thought
those
it was a
cars?
funeral.
Surprised I didn't get a call.
All right. I will move that the proposed subdivision will not cause unreasonable highway or public road congestion or unsafe conditions with respect to the use of highways or public roads existing and proposed if the proposed subdivision drives the entrance into a state highway located, it's not a state highway, it's not an urban compact area, it's nothing that DOT is concerned about. How's that? I move to find that this subdivision will not cause unreasonable highway and public road congestion because of the minimal traffic generated by 8 housing lots.
Second.
All those in favor?
Can we do this one as an easy one too?
I think so.
You're gonna have the test pits.
What about this road construction?
Sewer?
That's not in there, huh?
Do we
No.
have it in ours?
Charming.
It goes right from traffic to road construction.
Mhm. What?
Where?
And the
Under-
And the
performance
performance standards, it's not in the
No.
approval criteria.
We'll come back to that.
Sorry.
All right, so, any discussion we need to have on sewage?
No,
Alright.
that should be taken care of during the permitting process.
That's exactly what's gonna be my motion.
Go for it.
The proposed subdivision will not cause unreasonable, the subdivision will provide adequate sewage and waste disposal. The applicant has provided test pits, and any sewage will be licensed and permitted through applicable codes.
Can't get a building permit without an HHE 200, so.
Right.
Your second.
I second that. Juliet did.
Oh, boy, don't change up the process. We're gonna get scolded.
I'm the one writing it down, so. She's writing it down too.
I'm all about changing
I'm
it
not
up.
writing motions, I'm just getting
Okay.
on this group.
All right.
You're fine, you can change yours. All those in favor?
Solid waste.
Are we gonna get a trash truck up there?
I don't know.
Do-
What was the question?
Trash.
Are we gonna get a trash truck up
Don't
there?
go private roads, do they?
Yes, they do.
They do?
How that works is, if you have a subdivision, you have adequate turnaround, the trash, the people who pick up the trash in your town will come up that road and pick it up. But you have to sign something, a release or something, or an application to them. Otherwise, they bring it down to the end of the road. But yes, a road like that, I would think that we would have the trash curbside. And it's in the ordinance somewhere. I can't remember exactly where to find it, but I know we've researched it on it's not the first subdivision that I've been involved with, and they will come in, and there's something that you have to sign something with the trash company, that they're not responsible for the road or whatever. I can't remember what.
If they tear up your road, it's your problem.
But you have to make sure the road is adequate for them, and that they have plenty of room to turn that truck around, and they will pick up curbside on a private subdivision.
But if not, they'll have to take it to the dump.
We don't
Or
have a
put it at
dump.
the end of the road.
They'll have to get it down to the end of the road.
I don't know what they do, but I haven't seen any trash, and how they do it. But that is available to private roads in town. You have to set it all, and I think everybody on the road has to sign, that's what it is, sign off that, not that the trash company isn't liable or whatever. There's some language there, but it is available if everybody wants that.
So we have a contract with a private company?
Yeah.
Pine Tree Waste.
The new one that we just signed, right?
Yep. And I have no idea what that says about
I don't either.
private roads.
I have seen it.
You have to pay?
No, it's included in
It's
the
included,
contract.
it's included in your property taxes.
They're taking everyone's trash anyway, no matter where you put it. But if you sign off, everyone on that road, they will come in, and you have to have, it states that you have to have adequate place to turn the truck, and you do with the hammerhead, you have that.
Well, I guess either way, our standard is really whether it'll create a burden on our
Right.
trash service. So whether they have to put it at the end of the road
Not our,
is, I guess, not our problem.
right. So the performance standard, which is a little bit different than the approval criteria, says, determine whether the standard is met, the board must find that the contract exists with licensed solid waste facility that is in compliance with state law and has sufficient capacity for 5 years of disposal by the proposed use. So, say 8 house lots are not going to upset our municipal waste contract.
Yeah, agreed.
So, I will move that the proposed subdivision will not cause an unreasonable burden on the ability of the municipality to dispose of solid waste.
Second.
All those in favor?
Alright, so now we're getting into natural beauty. This,
So there's a good chunk of that in the performance standards.
yes, there is. Alright. So the first part of it is preserving landscape in its natural state.
During construction.
Well, no, in the,
Oh, and then after.
well, yeah, that's in the performance standard.
It's on page 91.
Yeah.
Aesthetic, natural, and cultural values. Is that where you're looking, John?
Mm-hmm. I'm assuming that's gonna be the right.
Can't block any view from a public road of any water body,
Right.
Hill excess of 450 feet, open field of over 100 acres. Can't block a view of the field.
Right.
Those fields, we have to be able to see the field.
That's how we're maintaining our rural character.
We all love cows.
Absolutely.
On my grill.
On my grill. Twisted.
All right,
No
so,
stone walls or granite posts or markers older than 100 years of age will be torn down unless relocated.
I don't think there are any, right? No, yeah.
no plants in the federal endangered species be affected. Natural areas was reviewed by the state. No public right to access any water body will be diminished.
You better
Good
make sure
thing
your
about
buffer
this-
vegetation stays alive for at least 1 year.
Good thing about, it's not a public road. You know, I mean, this is a dead end. There's no
It
houses
is,
near
it's
it.
actually, it's a public easement, because it was a county road that was abandoned. And basically, we all have the right, it's a public easement, public access easement, when the county abandoned that road and the town decided not to maintain it anymore.
So would we wouldn't call that a public road though, would we?
It's not a public road. It's a really nasty, deep subject, it looks like, from my looking around. Probably made lawyers a lot of money.
Okay.
No grave markers or cemeteries out there anywhere?
Yeah, well,
I saw there were cemeteries marked on the map that the state provided you.
It was the next road over.
Yeah, they weren't on the property.
Right. Everyone, for the most part. So the one piece we were missing from our application was that copy of that letter. Do we want to table this one item until we see that letter?
Mark it as incomplete.
Well, yeah, I'd also like, I'm kind of interested on the response back regarding those vernal pools to the state. But if if that's the only issue on this item, then,
So I think we got a couple of things. We didn't necessarily have the letter,
no.
and we have the black and white version that we're trying to guess
The deer.
for the
Yeah.
deer, and so.
And then also, the letter, but also talking to them about those two vernal pools,
Yes.
right? So that's kind of a separate.
Can you remind me what you were looking for information?
vernal
again?
pools?
Yeah.
It says to talk to the agency specifically about the vernal pools, like the delineation they did when they found that significant vernal pool, supposed to relate that information to the agency, kind of to tell them, so they can update their maps, I guess, and check and stuff, right?
Right.
And the fact that they have two on there, where's the other one?
So
I
verifying.
don't understand that anyway. I don't know, maybe it's from what they did in the whole area, but the state only has that one on their records. That's the only one. That's where they get that information from. And that was a state-recognized vernal pool, the one that's on that lot on the right. That's why we moved 250 feet from that and had a buffer.
So that wasn't one that you delineated, that was one that was brought in from the
He
state?
found it was on the state map as the only one on the property. I don't know what they're talking about with the second one. I don't know if that information is the same as the
He
state.
said there's at least two that they,
But who says that? Is
that's
that
what
the
it said in
state?
the IFW's letter, said there was at least two found in the.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple thing to take care of. So that it says that we strongly recommend that surveys for vernal pools be conducted within the project boundary by qualified wetland scientists prior to the project design to determine whether there are other significant vernal pools present in the area. These surveys are extended up to 200 feet beyond anticipated project footprint because of potential performance standard requirements of the vernal pools. So
And then also,
even
once
if we
surveys
find them,
are
if we're at
completed.
200 foot, right,
our department will need to review and verify.
Yeah.
But that has been done by the surveyor. All the
Right, so we
wetlands
just,
have
so
been located.
we just send that to them and say, look, this is what
Yeah,
we found.
yeah, and then they say, okay, thank you.
Yeah, because I don't know how they would have established that. I mean, unless they physically went on the property,
No,
wouldn't
they-
they landowner permission to do that anyway, so. They must be using some type of variable in this.
Yeah, that's-
Wet.
So I'm unclear what more
Exactly.
information you need about the vernal pools.
So, per this letter back from the state, it says that, you know, a delineation needs to be done. So we've had the delineation done.
Right.
They found one SVP, one significant vernal pool. So they're supposed to, once you survey and you find a significant vernal pool, you're supposed to go back to the state and say, this is what we found, this is where we found it. Kind of, you're confirming with them that that's all
My
right.
guess is that
And
that
then-
happened, they just haven't updated their database. So the person who does these letters is not a certified wetland biologist or soil scientist or anything. They're you know, the people that work in the office and then they do these things every day, you know, I mean, all the, so my guess is there's just there's like the layer of vernal pools is not matching up with, on that,
Yep.
what's out there, so I'll look into it.
Yep. Yeah, it's just to confirm what we know from our survey with what they have in their results, and then for them to update and say, okay, there is only one, there's not two, or for them to come back and say, you know what, you guys missed this one, and then we can be like, well, we already delineated, it's not there. So they can update theirs, and so, you know. That's what I was looking for that piece.
I mean,
It could be a gray area, but none of it certainly couldn't affect anything that we're doing on that hill. If there is something else that's down in that wet area that we're not going within miles of it.
I will point, so typically, a vernal pool study by a qualified scientist trumps their map, you know, so typically these things are done. So Barry kinda had a lot of this stuff done before, and then, you know, he hired me and said, oh, you know, as part of the checklist, so most projects, we'd start with this, and then they'd have a vernal pool scientist go out there and do this, so. I hesitate a little bit to go down the path of, do you want like a written response from IF&W on our end saying, you know, I don't know how feasible it's gonna be for them to say, to them to delete those two vernal pools off their general GIS map. I don't know if that happens real fast.
Yeah. Oh, no, just something back from them, or, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I know they move slow.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you guys delineated recently. You went back out and looked at
It's been
it.
done more than once, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so, I mean, you've got new
Mark Sensi
data.
did it, and then Mr.
Yeah.
Karnavich went back and re-verified the
Re-verified it,
boundaries.
so yeah, you've got the data you need.
I
You
think-
did it during this,
I think I mean,
I personally
Yeah.
wouldn't hold anything up waiting for another letter from.
I'm just saying, I don't know what they're gonna do to that. They're gonna
Right.
say, okay, you know, I may get someone to say, oh yeah, you're fine, you know, these things are just generally done as a cursory review that we do,
Yeah.
and you've already got this. So,
I guess maybe, if we had sent the delineation report to them first, and then they could have done this, reviewed and verified the
I
vernal
will
pool.
say that's
Can do
not
that.
part, yeah, that's not part of any town's really process. This is a tool, why most towns have the IF&W notification, the main natural areas notification is, that's like step one, right? So towns rely on that to say, if anything comes back, then the burden's on the applicant to hire the specialists that are qualified to do these studies, to go out and do it, and then that trumps, you know, that's the follow-up study to this, so. Where I just sent them the form letter and got the response back.
Yeah,
The next step would have been the step
The
that
next
you
step
already
would have been
took.
the step that Barry had already done and paid for, so
I see.
you know.
So this last statement then, is that something that that you don't normally do then? Like, send the verification information in?
So when a vernal pool is found as significant, there were forms that were submitted to the Maine DEP and
Yeah.
Army Corps of Engineers. and then that information somehow gets translated back to the main IF&W into the GIS database, and that they're not departments that are right next to each other.
I see. So, but the information you guys did was sent to the department?
I'm assuming that had been done. Mark Sensi certainly would have done that.
Well, then if that was already done, if this was already done.
But what I'm saying is, I don't know that they ever really do anything with it.
No,
once
I
they it
get
in.
that, I get that completely, but if it was already sent, this part was already done, whether it was done, you
Right.
know,
It's just a
recently
form
or a
letter.
year ago,
Right.
then it was,
So what's sticking up, what's problematic for you, I think, is that this is a form that they put into all their letters when they respond and say, oh, there's one popping up over here. I guess I'm a little confused as to what you need to see. You know, you have all the pieces, you
yeah.
know, and
If you can confirm that it was sent to the department and they received your SVP data forms, then I'm okay with that, if you guys can confirm.
so like
you know,
with a
that-
letter from the, whoever did it, yeah, I guess I'll leave that. I wasn't part of that part of the project.
I'd like to say that, you know, you certainly have the ability to waive anything you want on this, and it does seem that I have done due diligence more than one time, and this has all been delineated by professional people and rechecked, and it just seems like it's almost something that I don't want to have that one thing held up. I don't, it's not my choice.
And that's
I
kind of what I
understand. I'm
was
trying to say that
trying to
I've done my homework on this and
Yeah.
provided all the information
Maybe we could skip this one and come back, if this is the only one that sticks out, you know, then.
Well, I guess in my opinion, I think that all the vernal pool information that we have is sufficient. So for me, I don't think we need anything else, and I guess it will be the
So
rest of the
why don't
board.
I make a motion, or John can make a motion, and it can get voted up or down, and then we'll figure out where we need to go from there. Does that make sense?
Sure, go for it.
All right. I move to find that the proposed subdivision will not have an undue adverse effect on the scenic or natural beauty, the rest of the standards. In approval criteria 8, because we have the wetland delineation, we have the vernal pools identified, we have letters from the relevant state bodies, and the reality is that a very small portion of the subdivision is actually going to be developed, and most of it will be left natural because of the wetlands and the buffers required. So that's my motion.
I will second.
Hang on.
Are we kind of forgetting about the map part in that second letter?
Which map part?
The colored map?
Just getting the rest of the attachments, the 2 attachments that he was gonna update.
Yeah, right, you can just maybe do that as a condition.
Right,
Yeah.
Okay.
Submit them.
totally.
All those in favor?
That'll be submitted to the code officer.
Are we adding that to the motion, or are we voting on the motion as it stands?
Well, I will add it to the motion at the end when we impose conditions.
So all those in favor of the motion?
You could have said no, it'd be fine.
No, I do, I get it, I really do. I know you have done some due diligence for sure,
I've actually paid
Yeah.
2 different people to do the wetlands on that property.
yeah, no, I get it, I appreciate that, yeah.
Can we skip number 9 for now?
Yeah.
Thank you.
We should. It's just very broad.
Oh.
We have a lot of performance criteria that are not included in this.
I don't think Durham's comprehensive plan at this point is even in line with what the state is doing, so there really isn't one.
No, I'm
Can't
not-
enforce that.
I'm not hung up on the
I
comp plan.
understand if it's legally challenged, it doesn't stand up
Yeah.
at all.
Not hung up on the comp plan at all.
So it's a real mess, so.
Yep.
You can
All right.
skip it, we'll come back to it later, or are we just going to?
No, at the end of our conversation, at the end of the rest of the criteria.
All right, so financial technical capacity.
Weren't we provided a line of credit letter?
Yes. Not a line of credit letter, but bank statement.
That's right.
So I think his engineer's estimate is consistent with his estimate and his bank statement. Just wanted to find.
It's on the, is there anything else?
Trying to find, wasn't there? Are the performance standards on this one, I'm right?
It's 92.
92. Oh, there it is. Gosh.
don't know.
So we have a letter of commitment, we have bank statements, we have a budget. So the one condition that I was thinking that we would include was basically 12D. And it determine that whether applicant has technical capability of the ordinance must find the applicant possesses thorough training, experience, or by retention of professionals with such training, experience, and knowledge and expertise is necessary to assure compliance. So my thought was Mr. Baldwin certainly has tons of construction experience and road building and things like that. And his engineer that he had developed the plans has the professional training and expertise. What I just wanted to be sure was that after this, he doesn't fire his engineer and we lose that part of the dynamic duo.
If I can address that, I actually have built 2 subdivision roads in town that have approved and up and running.
Right.
One being my own Oak Ridge Road, Sunrise Pond Road, and I redid or got heel drive to a point where it could be approved by the road committee and engineered. Heel drive.
What's that one?
It wasn't my subdivision, but I took over fixing the road to bring it, to make everybody happy.
The standards.
Yeah, it was a big mess.
So Oak Ridge is an approved town road?
It isn't, no, it's not a
No,
town road, it's a
private
private
road.
road. It was my first subdivision that I did in quite a few years ago. But I built that road and it's, still looks good.
That was approved by the planning board though, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. And the road, more than
The road
the road is approved by the road committee, both of those roads.
We don't necessarily have a road committee
We do.
referenced. Really? Who's on that?
The chairman of the planning board.
It's
It's
a mess in the
News to
state.
me.
And you know that when they're doing their ordinances, doing all this work, that needs to be addressed. You know, it doesn't make sense for someone with no road experience to be inspecting a road and saying yes or no. You know, the road commissioner is on that. He'd be
And
probably the
chairman of
only
select board.
chairman of the selectmen, right, but that doesn't necessarily mean they have any road experience either. It's nice if they do. So it needs to be, this doesn't matter now, but that needs to be readdressed, and there needs to be an engineer, and I've been saying it for years, involved in that process.
So, number 10, I move that the subdivider has adequate financial and technical capacity to meet the standards as required by this ordinance. He has submitted budgets for his project, financial statements, and has the technical capacity for the construction, and has a licensed engineer under contract.
Second.
All those in favor?
This is the one that,
But surely, pretty much shoreline zoning, more or less. So
right,
shoreline
that's
zoning,
not right.
which I don't think applies here, but you do have a watershed.
Surface waters, outstanding river segments.
I think they all have setbacks 500 feet, right?
What's our distance from? The only body of water is the brook, surface water.
I don't know.
Libby
Within
Brook.
the watershed of any
And that
pond,
isn't
like,
really, it isn't even a brook, it's, in the
Swaley.
summer it's dry,
Right.
but it runs in the spring.
Yep.
Those are considered
And it
wetland?
starts right in those fields.
Yeah,
Right.
the brook is actually shown on the plan. So
it's
you're
also
good.
within wetland.
There's no building anywhere near.
Yeah, I mean, you're a good,
There's a scale on there.
yeah. Lives a 100 scale. Yep, 100 scale, so I mean, you're 600 feet, you're 6 inches from, you
Yep.
know, maybe the building corner, lot 4's building envelope is within 500 feet. But I don't anticipate anyone's ever gonna build 18 feet down from the road, but.
That's more for a lakefront, riverfront.
Yep.
I think defined in Title 38 shoreline zoning, and I don't think that stream would meet that criteria anyway.
No.
Combined lot shore frontage and setback from the normal wetland. I don't even know what that means.
That's lakefront lingo is for.
Mm-hmm. Just looking at what the state piece says. I don't think we have any concerns here.
So are we considering this an NA, or are we
That's all I wanted in this whole process was just one. Everything for 5 months.
That's all you want.
I would say.
Are we, or since there's
So-
wetland involved, are we considering?
I think we at least need to find that it doesn't unreasonably affect the shoreline of the wetland. Whether the rest of it applies or not, I don't know.
Where is it in here? Do we have it in here? In our ordinance? Do we have anything talking about it?
In the performance criteria? you mean?
Yeah,
No.
no?
That's pulled right out of state law.
That's right out of the state.
So, all right, so it's just in here.
Yep, and that, it's exactly what's in the state law.
Okay.
There's nothing that meets
I,
that.
I don't.
How do we prove that
Right.
it will not affect the shoreline of the wetland? Is the question, right? That's.
Yeah, of the body of water. I mean, the building envelopes are all outside of the wetland.
The road will be impacting the wetland.
So I think the question is based on our standard, which isn't exactly shoreland, because it says whenever situated entirely partially within a watershed of a pond, lake, within 250 feet of any wetland, great pond or river.
Well, definition of
So.
wetland is the forest
What is it,
wetland.
like
Every
10
property
acres or
has wetland. Yeah,
something?
a forest wetland would be a 10 acre
tenth.
wetland. Yeah, 10 acres with trees less than 6 meters. So it has to be like a heath or a marsh that can't sustain tree growth of over 18 feet. Or, yeah,
Otherwise known as a wetland of special significance.
Right.
right,
Was-
right. That's what they're talking about, and that's defined
That's in the that's the state shoreline zone requirement.
Yeah.
under Title 38.
But doesn't WUS also have to do with size, but also significant criteria? Doesn't it, like you can, like a vernal pool?
Right.
Or something that makes it significant can also, aside from size.
Right, but the only wetland up here where the construction's taking place is just forested wetland, which every property. You couldn't find you'd be hard pressed to find a piece of property that didn't have a depression that had some wetland, that's a forested wetland.
Yes.
And in that case, you can impact a tenth of an acre, 43
Right,
feet.
the tenth of the acre.
Without permit, it's exempt,
So
which
that-
he would be well under that with that little piece at the end.
So that's
of
the trigger right there, is the tenth of the acre
Right,
thing.
right.
In my,
And on that, and at the end of that road, that little piece that we're crossing wouldn't even be a tenth of an acre, I don't think, so.
Yeah, I mean, my guess, thinking, I mean, you might get 200 feet of impact, you know, when you put your shoulders, you know, your shoulder and your side slopes out.
so I think that's what,
I think that'd be, but this talking about Title 38 is talking about freshwater wetland significant.
Right,
Which-
I don't think this is falling into those criteria. So, we wanna say, general consensus not applicable before I make a motion?
Sure. Yep.
So a scientist?
yes.
Like, yes, okay.
All right, I will move that this project is not located within 250 feet of any wetland, great pond, or river defined in Title 38, Chapter 3, Subchapter 1, Article 2. Therefore, this is not applicable.
Second.
All those in favor?
You got your NA.
It was painful, but you got it.
Hey, we're only at 2 pages left.
An hour a page,
All right, groundwater. Can this be a quick one?
Yes.
Everyone agree?
Make the motion.
Hearing sighing over there. Any questions? So our standard performance is determine whether standard has been met. The board must find the system's design will be installed in conformance with the main subsurface wastewater disposal rules. So basically it says you have to have a licensed, permitted septic field as our performance standard. So I will move that the proposed subdivision alone or in conjunction with existing activities will not adversely impact the quality of groundwater, as the septic systems will be appropriately permitted.
Second.
All those in favor?
Where did we find the floodplain map was? Did it even show on the, did we get a FEMA map of the floodplain?
I
Mark?
believe
don't
that
remember.
It's
line is
on
shown
the
on your flat
plan.
plan.
Yeah, and this says here you gotta be 3 feet above that with your lowest foundation floor elevation, which
We're way above
you'll
that.
be 30 feet above that probably. Which I don't know where that 3 feet comes from. Usually it's 1 foot above, so apparently Durham's 3 feet above floodplain elevation.
I will move that based on the FEMA flood agency boundary maps and the elevation of this site, the project is not within the 100-year floodplain, and this standard has been met.
Second.
All those in favor?
Wetlands, again?
Freshwater wetlands.
Freshwater
There
wetlands.
again, being 10 acres or more.
Basically, this is saying,
Soil.
basically, this is, what it's saying is you're providing a map of them, which
We have.
we have.
Mm-hmm. These criteria are so.
Regardless of the size.
Oh, this one's from the state.
Oh,
That's right out of the state.
come on, state.
I will move that all freshwater wetlands within the proposed subdivision have been identified on the maps and submitted as part of the application.
Second.
All those in favor?
All farmland within the proposed subdivision has been identified and submitted as part of the application. Can I move that it is not applicable if there is not farmland within this application?
Second.
All those in favor?
So the next one is asking us, again, like the wetlands, to show on a map any river, streams, or brooks in the abutting the proposed subdivision, which is again right out of the state statute. I move that the rivers, streams, and brooks within or abutting the subdivision have been identified on the map submitted as part of this application.
Second.
All those in favor?
Stormwater. Any questions?
No.
I know that your favorite subject.
Curious, yeah. Yeah, I know, yeah.
I don't know how you're gonna handle that one where his application is still out.
So I think that has to be a condition, is that this won't be, condition of the application will be providing a copy of the main DEP site location permit.
So what do you call it for
Or
now?
not site location, it is a
Stormwater.
stormwater, sorry.
So for
Almost
now,
put the wrong words in the thing.
Before beginning construction.
Before, is it before building construction or before this before we sign it?
Before we give him the Mylar to record.
Right.
before final approval.
Oh, yeah. It's usually the language I hear, but
Okay.
I don't know what you've done in the past year with the conditions.
Well,
How do we usually say it?
Sometimes they take months to get that done, that's what's going on with that deal, Jason.
Yeah, depending on the shutdown, they can take up to 90 days, so, and they just started the clock, so. And then if there's a shutdown, that all gets put on hold, so.
So, I mean, as soon as you have it from the state, it's a matter of going to the code enforcement officer to close it. We won't have to come back before this board. I think is the situation we want to set.
So then it can be complete with a condition?
Condition of approval, okay.
Yeah.
Sound fair enough with that?
Yeah.
I'm sure you can get a hold of Calvin.
Yeah.
All
Do we
right.
have a copy of the application that was submitted to the state?
You have an abridged copy in that packet, and the actual application, until I get verification that my pre-application had been accepted, then I can put the full application in. So it's like a two-step process. You don't get a copy of the pre-application, you get a copy of the printed application once that they've accepted my pre-app request. So it's almost like you meet it and you go over it, and they look at your calcs. It's like a vetting process for the site, and then they say, okay, put the application in. And then it's to save them, they put that in there because it's to save them time on the back end. So theoretically, it should go quicker that way.
So I will move that the proposed subdivision will provide for adequate stormwater management because it will have a main DEP stormwater permit.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right, so lots in subdivision with shore frontage.
This is shoreline zoning, which we don't
Again.
have.
So I
But
think-
this is the spaghetti lot provision. They don't want
Right.
lots on their lake being
Right.
5 times longer than they are wide.
So, right. I will move that there are no lots in the subdivision that have shore frontage and river and stream, on shore frontage on a river, stream, or brook, great pond, or coastal waterland that are spaghetti lots. So this is not applicable.
Second.
Uh-oh,
It's not applicable, or it meets the criteria
we're not on a river, stream, brook, great pond,
for coastal wetland. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether there's spaghetti lots.
right?
Okay,
It's
then I'll
not
second that.
applicable.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
so 19, the proposed subdivision crosses municipal boundaries, will not cause unreasonable traffic congestion in respect to the existing public ways in the adjoining municipality.
Did we not have a phosphorus thing?
It's on the next page.
Okay.
We're not crossing any municipal
Right.
boundaries.
So
I would say.
I will move that the subdivision does not cross any municipal boundaries, and therefore this provision is not applicable.
Second.
All those
Criteria.
in favor?
You're wrapping up those non-applicables, Barry.
No, I'm rebuilding.
Should have put a coffee bet with him. Okay, so 20, phosphorus, that's right out of the state.
So this is the one we're waiting, this is the one we're waiting for the stormwater report.
Yep. And this is, Fran, what's the term for the runaround pond? Watered most at risk.
Watershed most at risk.
Right. So I'm generally thinking we can say that this is acceptable with the main, with the condition for the main DEP permit.
The stormwater permit.
Right.
I mean, it's also the life of the proposed subdivision, which would include like pesticides and stuff on the lawns, but I think you've got enough of a buffer
Mm,
before you get to Libby Brook.
right. So we don't have any standards around phosphorus in here, do we? I don't remember
That's
any.
right out of the state statute.
I know, it's just,
Phosphorus usually requires a vegetative buffer.
The state statute doesn't have a lot of info in it.
Usually it's that 50-foot
Mhm.
buffer is what they're looking for. They used to do structures and then nobody ever maintained them, so
Right.
they've gone to the vegetative buffers. So you've got a lot of vegetative buffer there.
mm-hmm.
Unless people were gonna put lawn all the way down to the stream or the wetland, which I can't see that's gonna likely.
Yeah.
So, I'll move that the long-term effect of this proposed subdivision will not unreasonably increase the Great Pond's phosphorus concentration during construction phase and life of the subdivision. It'll be appropriately permitted and has substantial wooded buffer.
Second.
All those in favor?
Timber harvest. So this one's got a ton of language in the state standard. But basically, it's about stripping the land.
All the cutting I've seen is just relative to the roadway.
Right.
Looks like it was cut off about 30 years ago. But that's long before this rule ever applied.
Mm-hmm. So what I struggle with is they're really, when this is kind of a weird standard the way it's written, because it's like we're trying to make a determination about timber harvesting in violation of rules that aren't necessarily under our jurisdiction.
Right.
They're Maine Forest Service rules, right?
There's,
Because we don't have our own timber harvesting provision currently, right?
right, but
And it's not referencing our timber harvesting
Barry,
provision.
how long have you had this property?
Oh, 25, 30 years, almost 30 years. Wow.
basically says, even if there's a violation and he's owned it for 5 years and he didn't create the violation. You ever had a violation from the Maine Forest Service?
No,
Okay.
no. I actually, last time I did cut wood up there, filed an intent to cut permit and got a notification certificate to cut wood.
How long ago was that?
No, 10 years ago.
So he's well beyond that.
And that 5-year rule is so that people can't go in and buy a chunk of land, strip it, and put it up
Divide
for
it.
sale.
Right.
Which it's done anyway, but it shouldn't be.
So, I don't have any reason to believe that Mr. Baldwin is being untruthful about having violations with the Maine Forest Service.
So is that a motion?
Sure.
Put that in the form of a motion, please.
I move to find that there's no evidence to suggest that the parcel has been harvested in violation of the Maine forestry rules.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Good news is we're done with the state criteria.
Back to our hours. Check set performance. Any comments, any thoughts on the motion? Tired?
You're the motion man.
Are we okay on the deer wintering
Yeah, that's, I mean,
area?
from my sidewalk, I'm not overly concerned about deer wintering areas up there on the ridge top.
Yeah.
That's,
You get most of them in the fall anyway.
And I think you can tell from the black and white map.
right.
Well, if you actually look at the locust map on the plat plan and extrapolate that information to that black and white map that they provided, you can see that it doesn't overlap. That the whole wintering area is south of the Granite Hill Road and all of Barry's Ball Run is north.
Yeah. I'm fine with that.
I will move that this project will not have an adverse impact on spawning grounds of fish, aquatic life, birds, and other wildlife habitat.
Second.
All those in favor?
Want me to make this motion?
Go for it.
Okay. I move to find that this will not cause noise, odor, glare, or vibration to disturb the peaceful enjoyment of adjacent property because we're only adding 8 residences, maximum of 8 residences.
Second.
All those in favor?
I also move to find that it will not place an excessive burden on the ability of the town to provide municipal, government, or educational services. Again, we're only talking about 8 houses. It's a private road. How many kids could they possibly have?
Not near a school.
There's actually formula someplace in the standard I saw.
That's my
Second.
motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Going back to number 9.
Yeah, well, number 9, and I think that encompasses some of our performance criteria that we didn't hit.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one that I have is 7 road construction.
Yep.
So minimum 50 feet, public and private streets paved to town standards. Must be complete minus less paving prior to issuance of the first building permit. Pavement width should be a minimum of 22 feet, 20 feet for private roads.
So one of the things that I wanted to add in that condition was that Mr. Baldwin would submit copies of his gradations and compactions, which is all of this page 84 stuff about what the aggregate base would be, about the compaction piece. We just submit those documents to the code enforcement officer.
That is already in the ordinance, and that has to be provided to the road committee prior to their inspection of the road.
The road committee.
All those compaction tests have to be done and submitted with the application.
So here's the problem I have with that. Before a road is accepted by the town, your road will never be accepted by the town. So that whole road committee piece is mostly talking about before we accept a road for as a town road. When you read a lot of those pieces, at least that's the way I read it, is those pieces are only, the road committee only goes out and does that before we recommend to put it on the warrant to go to the town.
But they have, the last two roads that I mentioned that I built, Oak Ridge and Heel Drive, needed to be inspected, and all this criteria you're asking about had to be provided.
I know, and then this ordinance has been revised and chopped up by various people.
Oh,
And I think there's a little bit of a gap, and that's why I just want to close that gap. And it sounds like you're on board with doing it,
oh, yeah, no.
right? You know, because you said you did it before, so you're expecting to do it,
It's part of
so,
the process.
right. I'm just trying to tie it into the process, because the way I read our standard, it talks about those things in the same provision where it talks about it being accepted for as a town road.
So, where did we wind up on paving?
So that's a problem area, in my mind, because it does
Require paving.
require over 3, but I can understand Mr. Baldwin's desire not to pave a road to connect to,
A gravel road.
Gravel road.
You're gonna drive a mile up a gravel road to get to a paved road.
right,
To me, it seems to, I think if a purchaser really wanted to live on a paved road, they wouldn't be driving up there anyway, so. To me, it seems like it would be.
but do we feel like that's a provision of the ordinance that we can override at this board?
It is a provision of the back law ordinance. I don't know, it doesn't address anywhere else in the subdivision ordinance or anything.
And-
Strictly, the
no.
back law ordinance is a very small article.
It does say
3 lots or more.
that all public and private streets and roads in the subdivision shall be paved. And then private streets serving no more than 3 dwelling units may be left unpaved, and we have 8 here. So it wouldn't have to be paved right away, but it would have to be paved.
But if you look at the
After
subdivision
the
ordinance,
That's what we're on.
Yeah, I am.
it actually says it in 2 different places in that short paragraph, with the exception of paving.
Well, you're under the back lot, which is not under subdivision, that's back under land use page, back
80.
lots.
80.
Back lots is page
The
40.
back lot subdivision stands by itself.
Right. Back lot's not part of the subdivision, that's,
And I've dealt with it for years, so I can pretty much quote what that says, but it basically says that the back lot, everything has to be done the same as if it were in a subdivision,
yeah, minus the paving, yeah.
minus the paving.
And that is, page 27, 27.
Wow, pretty good.
Back lots, bottom of the page, E. That's what I use on a regular basis when people come in to get a driveway to a lot out
But
in
that's
back.
not a subdivision.
Not under subdivision, no.
It says that we have to follow all the same criteria of a normal subdivision, with the exception of paving.
It says more than one back lot may be established on the 50-foot right-of-way. Well, if you start at number 2, page 20, you start at number 2, it says, a legally enforceable right-of-way may be used for more than one single-family backlot if the following conditions are met, and then these are the conditions below it. So, if you're just doing one backlot, it's everything above 2. Once you go to more than one backlot on a 50-foot right-of-way, it goes to, these conditions must be met. And it tells you gotta build a road minus the paving. You gotta build a road to, figure 3, which is on page.
Yeah, but this is in the backlot.
Right, it's
Well,
a subdivision.
Well, that's the decision you guys have to, that's, you're kinda using 2 different sections of the land use ordinance, so.
Right, so I think either that county road is not a private or public road, in which case you don't have access, and it's a backlot, or it's a subdivision and not a backlot. And I don't think we can have it both ways.
Well, the road, the Granite Hill Farm Road, it's already been established that it is a road frontage road, according to the Durham, and it said that in those, I don't know, I gave you those clips, or I sent it to the road commissioner, that's been dealt with and approved. I actually have been approved to get building permits on the lot before the subdivision, before the power line, by the planning board. My son owns that lot, and then I can pull one building permit now on the other, before the subdivision, on the Granite Hill Farm Road, because it is deemed a road frontage road. And it says so very clear, and there's even a conversation in that clip, if you watch, where they say, well, how do we respond to whether it's a road frontage road or not? And it says, and the code enforcement told them, he said, it's in the ordinances, the town attorney says it's so, and if we don't follow what the town attorney says, why are we paying?
But I think what Ann is saying is, if in fact it's a road frontage lot, then it doesn't qualify as a backlot, so.
Right.
It isn't a road frontage lot anymore. That road is a road frontage road. I don't have, if you read the road frontage, the backlot ordinance, if you don't have sufficient road frontage on that road, then if you have a right of way, you can create backlots. That's how that reads.
So you lost me somewhere. So why do you think it's a backlot?
Because I don't have, if you read the backlot ordinance, if you don't have 300 feet of road frontage on a town-approved road.
No, a backlot is defined as a lot that does not have frontage on a private or a public road. That's the definition of a
Right.
backlot.
Right.
So, but you're telling me you have frontage on basically a private or discontinued public road.
I have 50 feet of frontage. I have 50-foot right-of-way.
But there's no minimum on this.
No frontage. Not enough, or basically, not, I think it says somehow, not a, if you don't have sufficient.
So where's the
Right.
right of, what's the right of way that you're talking about, the 50-foot right of way?
It is on Granite Hill Farm Road, the 50-foot right-of-way.
So
That's all I own on Granite Hill Farm Road right now, is the right-of-way.
So either you have a right of way or you have frontage on a road, it's not both. And that's what I'm trying to figure out.
I have a right-of-way. And the right-of-way comes from a road frontage road.
He's trying to say, currently, right now, all he owns is between my 2 fingers on Granite Hill Farm Road. And that these 2 parcels, which encompass all of the frontage on that discontinued right-of-way, are owned by another entity, so that this is the only land that he owns, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Which would be the case in any road, really.
But
Any
that's,
subdivisions that way.
yeah.
Any right-of-way, if it were off route, not right off the main road here, it's the same thing.
Right.
As long as that road that we're talking about, Granite Hill Farm Road, has been established as a road frontage road, all you need is a 50-foot right-of-way to go in there and create backlots.
Right, but you have, well,
But if it's backlots,
but it's not a
If we're
backlot.
doing backlots, then we just did the wrong criteria
Right,
checklist
so
today.
I think
No.
it's a subdivision, this is a subdivision application, so I think that trumps the backlot because it's a little bit more restrictive than the backlot.
Well, and the backlot just says you have 0 road frontage, not 50, not,
It's, I think it's not sufficient or something, I don't know what it is.
No, it just says does not have frontage,
Right,
period, on a private or public road.
right.
So either we require asphalt or we ask for a waiver? Is that-
I-
Yeah, well, what's-
We can't waive it.
No, but
The
we ask.
ZBA has to waive it.
Okay.
That's a variance.
Who wants to waive it?
The zoning board.
Appeals board.
So,
I mean, and the other, and if precedence means anything, I mean, Heel Drive's the same thing, those are all 5-acre lots in there. It was done in the same manner. They had no road frontage on Auburn Powell Road, except the 50-foot right-of-way.
But did that go to subdivision planning board?
no idea.
What's that?
Was that part of a subdivision, did it go to planning
Oh,
board?
yeah, went through subdivision planning board, oh, yeah.
So,
I mean, even, and I don't wanna tell you but there are people who dealt with that, as a matter of fact, if someone wanted to call, the previous chairman of the planning board, Russ Jabot, he dealt with that over and over, and been dealing with it for years. And he can explain that if someone cared to speak with him, I'm sure he could clarify that. Because if it wasn't, I mean, that's the idea of the paving, if I were gonna pave it, they'd all be 90,000 square foot lots to be able to afford to pave it. The idea of not paving, you give up more land, you do a 5-acre lot, and there are other rules in there, it has to be 300 by 200 rectangle on that road as part of that 5-acre.
Yeah, under the back lot, that's in there, that it has to be 300 feet of right-of-way.
I mean, if you know, if you wanna, I don't blame you, if you wanna run it by the town attorney, or Russ was the chairman of the planning board for years, he dealt with all this stuff. I mean,
So
He
we're,
knows it by heart.
yeah, well, Jill, you've seen it, you were on the planning board,
Yeah.
so I guess the issue is if you look at the lot we're looking at. I don't know where my second one. The lot we're looking at has, so this is the lot you're developing. That's your subdivision, right?
No, as the application
No.
came in, he doesn't own,
He doesn't own this.
and the one
all the
across
other
from him.
piece down below, that 20.
Well, this is to be deeded, not is deeded.
It is needed, that's a done deal.
Okay, well, that's not what your plot plan says.
On the.
And either
application-
way, it's still part of the subdivision.
Only because it was sold within the past 5 years.
Okay, regardless, it's still part of the
What's that?
subdi-
Well, here's, just playing, finding a solution. What's the process, I mean, would the zoning board of appeals typically waive something like this? Has that been done before?
Variance.
Right, the variance.
I mean, a variance is really hard to get.
You have to meet all 4 criteria,
Oh,
which is almost,
yeah.
it's very difficult to.
Why isn't
The
it-
other option is you wouldn't have to build, you wouldn't have to pave it until you've got 3 residences in there. Get the Board of Selectmen to change it at town meeting. I mean, we've been talking about changing it for exactly this reason.
Right.
Is people don't want to come to subdivision because it's expensive to pave and
Right.
I mean, the problem is we've sort of, there are a few others that we've,
It sounds to me they were using that backlots ordinance exactly to get around this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, everybody.
yeah, but it
everybody
doesn't
would.
make
And you
sense.
could.
But that's the way, that's why we created it that way, and that's why that 5-acre lot, you give, on one end, you are forgiven on the paving, but you give up more land. You can't do 90,000 square foot lots.
And
I could put, a lot more lots in there if I wanted to go that route, but this is the simplest way to get it done. I mean, it would seem to me if you're confused about the ordinance or how they conflict, that a simple call to the town attorney for an opinion.
Honestly, I'm gonna get stuck on the Granite Hill Farm Road anyway. So if we want to ask an attorney,
Yeah.
perhaps not
No,
the current town attorney, but they're
I've had that conversation that's going on too.
they're
Why wouldn't?
then we can do that.
Wouldn't you ask the town attorney? I'm confused on that one. Do we have the same town attorney or is it Ickers?
No, Kurt retired.
Hmm.
Right, but the,
Jack Conway.
that was, yeah.
Jack Conway doesn't do a lot of municipal law. So that's up to you guys.
No,
What do you want to do with that?
I certainly would, I would feel better with the backup of the review of the town attorney confirming.
And then we'll use that going forward.
Either
Is
it's
that-
either it's a backlot or a subdivision, and what the status of Granite Hill Farm Road is.
Right.
And he would have Kurt Weber's, opinion,
Yeah,
um,
but Kurt's
Was
wasn't. Yeah, Kurt's wasn't as definitive as it's been characterized. So
Well, our backlot ordinance has changed too.
our backlot ordinance has changed.
How does, can I ask, how does Jill had said one time that the minutes, the recording of the minutes of the planning board meeting become law? And the previous planning board had dealt with that and through much, I mean, it wasn't a simple thing, believe me. I fought it for years just to deal with it, paid my attorney, they, you know, it was very involved. And they finally come to the conclusion, as if you reviewed that tape, it was decided that it is, and it is a road frontage road for, according to the Durham ordinances, and that I am, at this present time, allowed to pull a permit, the lot that I sold or gave to my son, and one on that existing.
So let me ask you this: in what context did the planning board decide that?
What do you mean context? What context?
Did they have an application? Did they have a conditional use permit? Did they have something in front of them?
Yeah, we actually, there was confusion on it. If you look at that whole tape, it was, I came in for backlot ordinance, a permit for a backlot, and two backlots actually. And through all the conversation, it was deemed that they are not backlots. They actually gave me back my application money for the backlot and said it is a road frontage road and you can pull a permit. I look at Jill, because she was there, she was a vice chair at the time on the planning board. And I'm sure she remembers, this stuff didn't just happen in 20 minutes. I fought it for, I say fought it, there was a struggle for years to come to terms with. And I didn't push it for a long time, but finally it all came together, and there'd been conversations about it before. But they determined at a meeting, and that conversation ensued that, well, do we, someone on the planning board said, well, do we have the right to determine that as a road frontage road or what? I said, it isn't up to us. The town attorney has agreed. The code enforcement officer agreed. If we don't take to heart what the town attorney says, why do we pay him? That's just what it says on the tape.
Right. Well, and again, the town attorney's opinion doesn't say this is a road frontage road. It was a lot more squishy than that. I mean, you provided us the opinion. And also, at the end of the day, if the planning board didn't have an application that they decided on, their decision doesn't mean anything. So if they had decided on this subdivision, that would be binding on the town. If they had decided on another permit, then that would be binding on the town. But at that point, it's really just an advisory opinion.
But they did decide that it was a road frontage road. They made that very clear. That was very clear. And
No, I understand they made the decision, but they made it was basically an advisory opinion because they weren't issuing a permit, they weren't making that decision.
They told me I could pull permits. I could pull 2 permits.
Right.
In that meeting.
But that's
That is.
they didn't issue, so we have control over conditional uses and subdivisions and backlots and things like that. We don't have control over building permits. So that took it out of the planning board's purview. And so all I'm saying is, if we're asking for a town if we're asking for an attorney opinion on whether this is a back lot and has to be paved, I'm gonna throw in Granite Hill Farm Road as well. Because they're gonna be doing the work anyway. And they'll take into account what the planning board said and what your lawyer said and what Kurt Weber said in the past.
So who are we asking this question?
Well, there's a particular lawyer who's an expert on roads. I would recommend we ask him, and I can't remember his name right now, but I can find it. But that would have to get approved by the selectmen.
That I mean, that whole piece has been the piece about this plan that has always had me nervous. I just don't want to create something that's going to be a legal challenge back on us.
Well, and a maintenance challenge.
A maintenance challenge.
I mean, my fear is everybody plays nice now, but as things get built out, problems develop, and that's just the way life happens. So, you know, the folks put in homes here, and for whatever reason, they can't even get up Granite Hill Farm Road because they don't have an enforceable easement or right or whatever, and private parties wind up fighting this out down the road because not everybody's playing nice, and that's my concern.
But the way that road was discontinued by the county commissioners way back when allows that right to all abutters. That road is discontinued, but to the use of the abutters.
Yeah, but there's been like, looking at the history, there's been like 3 state law revisions, so apparently it's not clear because the state law has been like revised like 3 times recently, like around this issue. And I'm certainly far from being a lawyer to be able to say for sure that we have all of that. Only know what I read on the internet.
So I'm going to make a motion to request an attorney of the select board's choosing, perhaps with recommendations, to give us an opinion on 1, the status of Granite Hill Farm Road, and 2, whether this needs, under our ordinances, whether the road needs to be analyzed under either the backlot road provisions or the subdivision provisions. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Okay.
Can I just ask, if they decide that it's a back lot, then is this application void?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Well,
No, because
The
it
application's
says
there.
in the backlot ordinance that all other conditions, it's to be dealt with as a subdivision. All the other rules is a subdivision. The same thing, with that one exception, the paving. It says, if you read that backlot ordinance by itself, it basically says you have to follow all the rules in the subdivision.
We still have a backlot. Do we have a backlot ordinance application? Do we have a specific
that?
application for a
Field
backlot?
Drive was, yeah. Those are all 5 acre lots.
not that I've ever
It's
seen.
never
right?
been paved.
Does it fall under conditional use?
No,
Mm.
it's just under the, it's just in the land.
I mean, the other thing is either way, this falls under the state subdivision.
Right, I was gonna
We'd
say,
have to
yeah,
review
yeah.
it under those criteria.
Do they have rules about paving?
No.
So do we want to motion to table this?
Well, do we want to finish going through the other performance
we can.
criteria?
We can. I'm trying to figure out where
No,
everyone's
we're
head's
at
at.
9:30 now.
Right.
My head's at, I hate this. And if I hadn't promised Mindy I'd stay.
Promise is a promise.
I just, does it make any sense to continue if this, it's gonna be a major variety?
Or do we want to make sure there aren't anything else, any other issues or questions we might have, so that next time we know what we're looking at? I don't know if that's my only
Let's
thought.
see, what else do we have? So we've got the road that we just talked about,
Maintenance agreement.
road maintenance agreement, groundwater protection. No, we did
Get
that.
that.
Noise, odor, glare, schools, recreation, harvesting, floodplain. I'm not doing a PUD. I think that's it.
So do we want to get into road maintenance right now? Wait until we know what the status
Wait
of the
until we
roads
figure
are.
out the road.
That's kind of. So we get an answer to the
Right.
status
Okay.
of the division, so that
So-
you go after the road.
Jill, do you have a copy of the letter from Barry's attorney and the letter from Kurt back those years ago? Because that'll make it easier for whoever's reviewing this to know where they're starting.
I wasn't the secretary, I was,
Did you have copies?
I think I
Chairman.
do. Code enforcement had copies.
I'm pretty sure Barry has them.
Yeah, I mean, Barry showed them to us, but I was just wondering if we took copies at that point or have them to provide to whoever's going to give us the legal opinion.
That would have been something Debbie might have done, yeah.
Code enforcement had them, but I don't know what
But
they.
yeah,
what they
we don't.
We can, I can look in the folder, look in the file.
Okay, yeah, or
Barry-
Barry, do you mind providing
Barry,
them so we
you
can give
drop
them?
off?
I'm not even sure which, there were a number of letters, but,
Didn't we see them as part of this
I have them
application?
somewhere.
We just saw them, we didn't get them.
Right.
We should just.
Barry, I know you have them.
Yeah, I'm sure I do, but that's, yeah, you, actually, when you decide what lawyer you're using, I'll provide him, I'm actually gonna contact my lawyer and have him provide him whatever information he has, because he's the one that dealt with it.
Yeah, that makes
I-
sense.
That's
I'm
probably
paid to do this already.
Yep,
Right.
that makes
So-
sense.
Happy to put him in touch
Nope.
with the lawyer. I need to know who you,
That makes
The other
sense.
thing is, Russ Chabot, I believe, was chairman during that period, and he kept a humongous file of all the work that was done at his house. So he may still have those letters, Mindy.
Okay.
He kept a duplicate file of everything that was done, because he handled most of the phone calls.
I'm sure my lawyer has all that more than what I have.
Mhm.
As soon as you provide me with
Yeah,
the name of the attorney of your choice, my lawyer will contact him. And provide him with whatever he needs.
let's see if I can find the guy's name. Jim Katsovikis does a lot of road work. Who's the other guy? Well, either way. So I'll email the board and copy Jill and Mindy with some suggestions, and whoever they decide to use, that's ultimately up to them.
There's also a guy in Auburn who's pretty famous for dealing with discontinued roads and that kind of thing. I can't remember his first name, but it's Undercuffler is his last name. He actually, when I was selectman and on the planning board, went to the AdCog
Government service.
days where he provided talks on discontinued roads and that kind of thing. First time I ever saw a lawyer get a standing ovation from a room full of people. He was very, very informed.
All right, so I'm gonna move to table this till, when's our next meeting?
August 5th, I think.
Second. it says.
August 2nd.
Okay. Move table till
Second.
August 2nd.
All those in favor?
Who seconded?
Me.
John?
Okay, are we gonna have a decision on lawyer very soon, or?
Yeah, I'll look at-
Lawyers move very slow.
Yeah, I'll look through my email tomorrow and figure out what the guy's name is. And I'll email the Board of Selectmen tomorrow. I'll copy you on it too, actually. Do we have, I don't know that I have, Jill must have your email.
You know,
It's BaldwinLogin@gmail.com, very simple.
Any comments, Chairman?
Next planning board meeting, Wednesday, August 2nd. Applications, 9 separate packets due no later than close of business 4:30 PM on Monday, July 24th. I will very likely not
It's on
be
mine.
here on August 2nd.
Oh,
I think that one's yours.
good luck.
Good,
And
because I lost
we,
mine.
we have put notices out there for alternate planning board members.
Next month.
So.
Okay,
7 o'clock?
motion to
Yeah,
adjourn?
7 o'clock.
So, second.
All those in favor?
Couldn't figure out what I was doing.
Meeting adjourned.